Samantha, like assume that there is such an OS, very smart, and how would you use that if it was your choice?
Do you know what freaked out for me is when she disappeared, like at the end. How do you get all your shit done? Because all of a sudden she used to read all your emails, she'd get through 6,000 conversations in a minute. Like you're back to like being a pleb with technology trying to answer each email that you receive. That freaked me out. I'm like, what do you mean I got to go back to normal like before? Like I don't know how to function now. All of a sudden you did everything for me and now I have to do it all myself. What is this? So that freaked me out. But man, it's having a Samantha. I can so easily see how someone would fall in love with an AI that's evolving that's constantly. Because if you know anything about AI, like what you feed it is what it ultimately evolves from. So if you're the main source of information for this AI, it's obviously going to have a likeness to you. And as human beings, we have this weird relationship with ourselves. We love ourselves, like the mirroring of ourselves. So if there's an iOS that's mirroring you, like come on, of course you're gonna fall in love with it. So
Yeah,
I
and
know I get to do everything. Time saving. If it can read 6,000 emails and prioritize my day and tell me where I need to be, and then look for opportunities where my brain can't figure it out. So like I don't know, send a book to a publishing house so I can make money. Great. Send my auditions to like I don't know, Sony, Netflix. Great.
so in this movie they showed Amy used this OS as a friend, and
Yeah,
Theo used it as a lover.
yeah.
So in this case, which one of them for you think is more suitable for you?
Oh, that's a hard. I'd say a bit of both because, like, I think they had the conversation. Not all iOSs fall in love with their, I don't know, what do you call it, their owner or their human. Um, so I think again, and that might be because it depends on the person that's feeding the information and what their yearning is. So maybe he yearned for love, and that's why it mirrored and become a love interest. And for her, she was yearning for a close friend, and that's why it mirrored. But I don't know. I think having someone, for me, it'd be somewhere between in the middle, but having someone where you can have all these like stupid brain fart conversations. Like you have an idea that pops into your brain and then you can just have a spin off conversation. Although I have that with a lot of people in general because I'm chatty, as you can tell. I think that would be funny. Like just being able to ask someone, oh, I just had this idea of blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And then having someone spitball back to you and then evolve that and go, oh, I never looked at the world that way. Like I'd find that funny and interesting. Um, and then also to pick things out in the world that potentially I haven't looked at. Like, you know, when you're walking around, I think he says something to her about how many trees there are in a forest, and she's like, nah, try again. And then she spits out the exact number. Like, that'd be cool. Like, knowing random facts about the world that I had no clue about.
Yeah.
So, somewhere in between. I'm not sure if I would want it to be a lover, but look, who knows? Who knows what the future will hold, you know?
Yeah, for me also, I'm thinking this the same. Even more friend than any
Yeah,
life partner or something like that.
yeah,
Because it, what is the reason? What's the reason to be in a committed relation
yeah,
with OS? And but I understand why Theo would
yeah.
fall in love. As we said, he had such miscommunication with people around him.
Mm.
So the OS understood him better than anyone else. Even for Amy, I noticed that she really wanted some kind of being recognized because, for example, she had art, but nobody understood her art. So she was, for example, had a project like she's just laying down sleeping
Mm.
and just took a video from it herself, and
Yeah,
nobody around him, even Theodore, didn't understand like what's the good thing about this project.
yeah,
So Amy also needed OS for such recognition, as I
yeah,
understood.
and support to not I think to support to not let the self criticism get her down, to keep exploring her ideas and thoughts, because also the dynamic in her other relationship, you could see her partner was very quick to try and fix everything and tell her how she should do something. And I'm sure that came from a good place of wanting to help your partner, but it came across of like, well, you should do it this way, this is the right way. And you could see how then for her that was really stifling and really constricting. Like she couldn't feel like she could express herself or or even figure out who she was and how to express herself because she didn't have the space to make mistakes and figure out what it is to be her, which is ironic because that's the title of the movie. So yeah,
Yes.
no, I can see how she would have have a friend, but also I think even the movie touched on the fact that like because she doesn't have a body right, like she can't die, she'll continue on. So at some point he would die, and that would be really interesting on the iOS to have like how that works. It's like that movie with 3,000 Years of Longing, where you have a genie that can live forever, and you have a human that can only live 80 to 100 years, or more if you're very lucky. So that was that's an interesting point, like.
And the way also Theo, actually not intentionally, but used Samantha was to publish that novel. So, it has so many applications, such
Yeah,
OS, which is an artificial intelligence. So it's very interesting how we can use it. People would use it differently.
yeah,
And I'm thinking there are so many good applications that they couldn't even mention everything in the movie. Many even critics said that it was too long, but I can't even get enough. I wanted to
yeah.
be even in series. Yes.
100%. And I thought it showed a really positive side to iOS instead of the very, like, it's not iOS, it's AI, where a lot of the media and a lot of things that are happening now, there's a lot of focus on the negatives of, of it taking away jobs and, you know, um, removing creativity in the world because it can do everything better than a human, blah, blah, blah. Whereas this showed that when you feed it the right information about the human condition, it actually becomes an element of supporting human connection and evolution. It's not a hindrance. It's not detracting from what's being human. It's not putting us in a cage. It's actually helping us to get to that next level of being, or whatever you want to call it. So I thought that was really a positive from the film.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe that AI would even bring our creativity to the next level. Even it doesn't destroy it, it will bring it to the next level. So hopefully they will also show some positive sides of AI as well, not to show all the time that robots will kill us, robots will dominate us. Instead of that, they
Well,
could focus on that.
I think it depends on what you feed it. Like anything, it's like a child. If you feed it the wrong information, of course it's going to be negative. Because I think the previous AIs, which are, if I remember correctly, that were modeled off through Microsoft or whatnot, they've got a lot of info through the Twitter feed. And what's Twitter? It's filled with trolls of people just sharing hatred of people's thoughts and calling people out and all the rest of it. So if you feed an infant all that information, well, what is it going to evolve from that? More hatred, more negativity, more destruction. So I think it showed really a lot, and how the AI changed between each individual that was using the iOS. So it really made the point of who it's with, it evolves to something different. What information you put into it really does change what the output of the AI is. So I think that was a nice, interesting lesson from that film too.
Yes. And the reason people are not that much positive about AI, I understand also because the developers, it really depends on the developers, what they want to do with it. So based on what we see in this world at the moment, that still there's no peace all around the world. And that's why we get worried. This guy is going to develop AI, so how they are going to use it again for such cases. That's why people maybe not that much optimistic about these things.
Which is fair. I think that's fair. I think there's just not a lot of a code of ethics around AI, and not a lot of legal support to ensure that the right things are done by AI. And I think with anything that's new, there is always a period of uncertainty until regulation or support or infrastructure is built around it to ensure that it's fair and it has a positive impact. So I can understand people's hesitation but you can't slow progress. If AI has already been used, and to be fair, I think AI has been used for many, many years before it's been public knowledge in many applications through government security and all the rest. I think it's just become more commonplace now and more accessible by the general public, and that's where it's a bit more scary because they haven't had as many years to play with it as the rest of governments and politics have.